So we're gonna get serious again. I didn't plan on doing that yet, but we're gonna get serious. And this video is probably not gonna be edited very much because I just want to keep it off the cuff. I want to keep it real and I want to keep it authentic because that's what this needs to be. We're gonna be talking about my regrets, specifically pertaining to my time in content creation, considering I'm coming up on a decade. And that's crazy to me thinking about it. My very first channel was made May 30th, 2015. That's crazy. And my first video was uploaded the next day on May 31st. So I might do a special video one of those days or both those days. I don't know. I don't know yet. It'll be on the main channel though. And I just wanted to take this time to talk about, regrets I've had, because of course I do. There's nothing I can do about them. This isn't me, trying to be stuck on the past. If anything, it's me trying to move on and talk about these things once and, look forward to, focus on the present and the future. So we're just going to do that right now. So let's talk the simple ones that, from the very beginning. I guess we'll start from the top. Not taking content creation very serious, sooner. I spent probably the first 5-6 years, something like that, not really taking this as serious as I should. Admittedly, the first couple years, I was a very young kid, so I barely knew what I was doing. I don't blame myself for those as much. More so once we get closer to 2019, 2020 time period, when I'm first starting to actually make something out of YouTube. We had the Appalachian Avengers channel, my Twitch, which ultimately kind of died. Oops. But anyway, I went out on my own on YouTube in late 2020, rebranded to JO3 in 2021 on January 1st, and ever since then, I've been taking it a little bit more seriously. Over time, my content's gotten better. I've tried to, learn things and adapt. But if I had done it sooner, and I could have, especially, we're going to be talking about a specific time period. Actually, we'll move into that one now. Why not? I'm going out of order. It's fine. Not taking advantage of the funny pandemic times. COVID was a huge opportunity for a lot of creators. A lot of big inspirations for this channel right now and my type of content. You have your Smitties. I mean, he was already big, but then the people that play with him, the Grizzy, the Big Puffer, the Elastic Droids, and Pezzies of the world, most of those guys either started or blew up during COVID. That was when they got their start. They may have been editors that had previous channels, but their current, brand and channel started during those times, and they blew up because everybody was inside. Everybody was online watching YouTube and Twitch. It was the perfect time to start content creation. And while I was there, and I benefited a bit from it, I wasn't where, even a year later, I would have seen way more benefit from it. And I would have been able to actually put out that more, quality content for the time. And taking advantage of that time period, as bad as it was for the world and for most people. But other than that, we're going to move on to the next thing, which is probably the big thing, Minecraft SMPs. I don't have many or any big regrets regarding most of them. For those who are unaware or newer viewers, from 2020 to 2020, well, even last year as well, but we're focusing on 2020 to 2022, I did Minecraft servers, specifically lore servers. Of course, the Dream SMP, that was that era. Every server became some sort of lore server pretty much, except like Hermitcraft and a few others. Everyone was trying to make the next big lore server, and so I took a couple cracks at it. We had the Enderfalls SMP. Probably, it's in contention for my favorite of the lore servers I did. It's either that or the next one, JO3 SMP. Enderfalls was Bedrock, a very simple story, pretty much a 3-person cast with a few extra people that would pop in from time to time. We made it work with what we had. Then we moved over to Java. I created my own server, and I would say JO3 SMP was probably from beginning to end the most consistent of the SMPs, but we're getting to the one that I have a lot of regrets for, which the first one is creating New World SMP, which originally started as JO3 SMP Season 2. I had ended JO3 SMP, decided to pretty much start from scratch for Season 2, and then we turned it into basically a multiversal SMP, which I don't think had been done to that point, and hasn't been done, at least well, that I've seen since. I'm sure it's been attempted. I'd say we did a pretty alright job, considering, what it was. But, the latter half of it wasn't a great time. I had neglected my personal channels, focusing too much on New World SMP, and then burnt myself out on New World SMP, and wasn't as big of a fan of it, and I just wanted to end it. So then I was burnt out on both and not really doing both very well. It was a bad time. This was the time period where I didn't really leave my house because my college decided to go online for the semester, and it just wasn't a great time overall. We'll end it with that. The next big regret, I'm just kind of, going off the cuff right now. how New World SMP ended. It didn't really end. It didn't really get a proper ending. And this is, I'm gonna take, some of the blame for that for sure. I have a short temper when it comes to some things and things I'm passionate about. I can get angered very easily. It's something I still work on to this day. Still something I need to work on to this day. But New World SMP, the short version, without going into the details, was a dispute amongst myself and a different admin / member of the story, like writers team or whatever. And ultimately, I was just done with the whole thing. We already weren't really fond of each other. At least it felt that way. At least there was always tension anytime we were talking at the time. So I decided to just pull the plug. I said, hey, you guys have the world. If you want to do an ending of your own, go for it. The script for the ending was thrown online, leaked online. And it was a big argument for a couple days, and then everyone went their ways. I lost a lot of connections, which we'll talk more about later. But I do want to take some of the blame for that. I don't think 100% of it is on me, but at least 50% definitely is. And I could have operated that whole thing better. I'm not the person I am now. We'll put it that way. I was, 19, 18, one of the two. Would have been, I think, just turning 19 or about to turn 19. Barely an adult. Still figuring that whole thing out. I still am, but especially back then. So, wasn't the greatest time. But anyway, we're gonna. It can't really. I don't know. I don't know how to really wrap this up. There are some great people in New World SMP. That part I don't regret. I don't regret meeting some of the people like Trent Clee is a good friend. Hope everything's going well with his RuneScape content. Not really my cup of tea, but I still try to pop it on and support him. He's a good dude, good streamer, good creator. And then there are the ones I don't really keep up with, talk to anymore, like at all, which, I wish I did. And I get why we, things, we split up. Wild Aces, up to that point, a very good friend of mine, good creator friend, probably the person I talked about content with the most. And he's still doing great stuff with his Roblox content, his Roblox FPS content, his variety channel, all that. I still try to support him as much as I can. He's a good dude. No problem with him. There's no problems on this end. If there's, I wish him the best. Smokey B, almost 2 million YouTube subscribers. I knew Smokey B before she was famous, dang it. She was starting to pop off towards the tail end of New World SMP. Wish her all the best. It's great. I'm happy to see she's carved out her path on YouTube. So, no ill on this side. I can understand that there is on her end. And I don't blame her for that, but I wish her the best. Along with everyone else that kind of was Smokey's friends on that server. Wish them all the best. Even if I didn't get along with all of them, that's life. I think that's mostly everybody. Anyone else that I didn't cover that may have just been on the server briefly, but just wish them all the best. They keep it that way. New World SMP, how it ended, is a regret, but at the end of the day, it happened, and I'm happy I met a lot of cool people. Anyway, let's get political. No, I'm kidding. We're that is the next one though. It's not really regret, more so like that I got political. That's not the regret, if you want to call it that. I really just was more public about my political beliefs, and my only regret is how I went about it, not that I did it. I wish I'd kept it kind of to its own account, but then again, then I'd just be talking to basically a hive mind echo chamber thing. So I don't know if I fully regret it, but I definitely wish I'd went about it a different way. I guess is a better way to do it, but to say it, but there's not really nothing I can do about it right now. It's happened. It's out there. I mean, I ran for office. It was always going to be out there. I was just more public than most people probably would be. That being said, I am kind of making it, I don't want to say goal, because that makes it sound wrong. I am trying to kind of like do less of it than I used to, which used to be all the time. And I'm going to try to shift it onto its, more appropriate channels, whatever that may be, or accounts, and kind of away from my main Twitter and the other social media where I've done political content. It's not that I regret it or no, I'm trying to hide my beliefs. It's that, you know, I want people to be able to be entertained by the content. I want to put my focus back on content creation and kind of push politics off into its own little corner away from that. So it's a lot easier to just, you know, watch the content and enjoy it and not have to see all my political ramblings. It's something that I've been meaning to do, but I'm going to try to dedicate myself to doing this year. And people who do want to see the politics, I have an alt Twitter account for a reason, and I have different channels for a reason. Anyway, not keeping up with my content connection / friends. I brought it up earlier with New World S&P, a lot of those people, but also across the board. I want to shout out a few people who might make it this far in the video. They might watch this, they might not. I don't know. It's a side channel video, so you never know. Everyone either gets to see it or they don't get notified of it until like a year later. But a lot of the Reactor 9 guys, specifically Justify Red and Andrew Roy, these guys are people I've known now for a couple years, which is crazy to think about. It's crazy how quick the last 5 years have gone by. Can we talk about that? It's crazy. But those two guys are people I've met, obviously, with Reactor 9. I joined Reactor 9 pretty early on, probably a couple months into the organization being a thing. And those are two of the guys I've talked the most with and gotten the closest with, for sure. A lot of the other guys are cool too. I just don't have as big a personal connection, but, you know, I'm trying to make it, you know, trying to get more involved there with the current R9 crew. And those two guys, I mean, Roy's no longer with R9 at the moment, unless he wants to come back. My DMs are open. You know, I could talk to Red if you want. No, Roy's definitely one of those guys that I've learned a lot from, whether, you know, he knows it or not, because he's learned a lot about content and stuff, and I just learned it by watching him, and, you know, I hope vice versa. Red is somebody who's a wealth of knowledge, for sure, on content and esports stuff, though esports isn't really my thing. It's definitely, you can tell there's a lot of passion there, and he's serious about it, which is awesome to see. And that's two guys I want to try to keep up with a bit more, you know. The other one, not focusing on the main channel, that's the other one that kind of goes alongside this. I've done that on multiple occurrences. When I made a bunch of channels in like 2023, trying to, you know, I had a bunch of ideas, but tried to expand to do them all. Terrible idea. Now I'm focused fully on the main channel. The Halo 3 TV is going to exist this year, and this channel, of course. But outside of that, I am fully focused on the main channel. The only other like YouTube projects I have is a personal project that has nothing to do with the JL3 brand, that doesn't take a lot of time but is very personal and important to me. If you want to know what that is, you can find it on the Twitter probably by the time I release this. And, you know, that's a personal project that has nothing to do with this, like I said. Outside of that, these are the only 3 channels I'm going to be producing any content on for the foreseeable future. JL3 TV is literally just going to be the home for videos that don't fit the main channel anymore. That is all it's going to be. There's no consistent uploads over there, but that is what's going to get posted. Like tier lists, that sort of thing. That type of content I enjoy making, but it's not really, doesn't really fit the main channel anymore. That's what's going to go on there and going, you know, starting soon. Real Talk is going to stay the same. JL3 is going to stay the same. I want to make the main channel, though, the main focus. I want to try to get back to at least a video a week, if not more. It's been slow to get back into that with, you know, work. Finishing up school. This is my last semester, and I'm really trying to, you know, put a emphasis on that and really try to, you know, hit the ground running, hit it hard, you know, my last semester, and also trying to, you know, network and do things IRL to, you know, begin my career as early as potentially May, you know, if not sooner. That's when I graduate, so I'm looking to set up my post-college job, if that makes sense. 2024 as a whole, though, is the next one. I just listed 2024. 2024 sucked for the channel. Let's be real here for a second. If you were around, 2024 was the worst year for the channel. Every year before then, I was on a slow upward trajectory. 2023 was the best year on the channel. 2024 is the worst, and we'll get to possibly why shortly. We're, like I said, trying to go chronological here. 2024 is kind of hard to, you know, list it because the rest of them are in 2024, but 2024 was a Well, it started well, kind of. The shorts towards the tail end of 2023, they changed the algorithm or something. Weren't doing as well, but they were still doing fine enough. They were never the main focus of the channel. It was shorts to redirect to the main, like, actual videos was always the idea. Not all the tools weren't there like they are now, but it was always the plan. And the main channel videos were doing better than ever, like on an average, consistent basis. Then Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2 in 2024 is amazing, came out. Very long title, I know. But that video came out, did really well. But there was a joke in there that got flagged. Not in the main video itself, but the short. The short got flagged, and it got auto-flagged because it happened within probably the first 20 minutes of the short being out before it even got shown to a lot of people. I think it had 10, 11, 12 views, something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head. When it got a community guidelines warning, not a strike, a warning. So typically, you know, that's a slap on the wrist saying, hey, don't do that again. I said, okay, whatever. What was that? Whatever. But it was more than a slap on the wrist. The channel was basically, all momentum was halted. And every big YouTuber that's ever got a guideline strike or a warning, thanks phone, forgot to silence that. I'm leaving that in, that's funny. I don't want to cut this at all, it's really funny. It killed the channel. YouTube says it doesn't, but it does. I could show you, and I did a deep dive towards the tail end of last year, like on my Twitter, talking about it. The videos were getting shown to like a third, if that, if not a fourth of what they used to, and then it continued to decrease throughout the year. There was a couple videos that seemingly broke through. Either like my subs were watching them and boosting them that way, or externally they got views. But for the most part, things just weren't. Things were a downward trend, and it made me less motivated to do YouTube, and I almost quit. There was a period where I was planning to quit. Just cold turkey, not even do it like a final, oh, goodbye video. I was just gonna quit. I was just gonna be one of these YouTubers that disappeared one day. That was gonna be it. I had no plans to continue, but yeah, I took a little break, held strong, and we made it through the end of the year. Things started to, you know, not grow, but they kind of, the you know, downward spiral stopped. They kind of stagnated for a bit towards the end of the year. Now this year, it seems things are on the come up again. We'll see what happens with that. At the end of the day, 2024 sucked. We'll move on now, just to, you know, make this video go by, you know, wrap it up. Making Forgotten Falls SMP Season 2. Forgotten Falls SMP Season 2 as a concept, as a sequel to Forgotten Falls SMP, I was very excited for. I don't regret starting it necessarily. I regret, I guess not making it probably isn't the regret. How it was executed post-launch and how things happened is probably the regret. I bear a little bit of responsibility but for the most part, this one isn't all on me, alright? This one ain't. But the one thing in the making of it that I do regret is how long it took, and that's just because it kept getting shelved and then brought back out, or pushed to the side, brought back, because it was just a side. It was something that took longer than it should have. I had to restart like twice production on the world and the idea. At the end of the day, it is what it is. I don't think I'll ever do another SMP that I personally own. I will make another SMP, I guess is the better way to put it. I won't do a Forgotten Falls Season 3, and I won't be doing a different SMP. Just not my thing anymore. I still occasionally hop on the Season 2 world and play it solo, but other than that, I don't really. I'm on my buddy Harpo's server right now. That's about it. To be honest, I don't really have time for Minecraft SMPs anymore either, even if I wanted to make one. Not right now. I just don't have time right now. Let's talk about the joke, though, in more detail that killed the channel. It was a joke about the one group of people you can't joke about because they allegedly own everything. Starts with a J. They're known for having very big schnoozes, allegedly, and I think if you can't put the picture there, you know. The one group of people that aren't certain, you know, half the country aren't very fond of, and half that kind of are, a group of people that is a small minority of the population you know, I don't actually have a problem with these people. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I've joked about every group of people on the planet. I've probably offended everybody. But this was the one that actually got a guideline strike. Of course it was. This was the one that killed the channel and put me in YouTube prison for like 9 months. So, you know, that was the one. I can't even remember the joke off the top of my head. It's still in the video. I didn't remove it. I was petty. I left it in there. I could have cut it. I didn't. It's there. They didn't strike it. They only strike the short, and it was automated. What do you call it? Refuted it, by the way, and it got auto denied within 5 minutes. So, you know, good job, YouTube bots. It wasn't even if it was a real person that like reported it and it got struck, you know, it'd be a slightly different story. But it was YouTube bots. It didn't even get shown to people before it got yoinked off the channel. So whatever. Let's wrap this up. I got 2 more. My Twitter. This one's more of a joke one, but also goes back to the political thing. My Twitter is a mess. I've thought about just using one of those like Twitter services or whatever and just deleting a bunch of crap, mass deleting it, because it's just a mess, and trying to streamline it. I might still do that. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Let's talk about the last real one. Burning bridges. As a whole, burning bridges. I've burned a lot of bridges throughout my time on YouTube. A lot of bridges that, you know, were people I was very close with. People that I wish I didn't. You know, this is a big thing. This thing outside of YouTube, but, you know, the focus is streaming content creation. There's been, I couldn't even count them on both my hands. There's been way more than that I have burned. Most of which were probably my fault, and were with people that I, you know, probably wronged in some way. You know, maybe a few were the opposite, but for the most part, I screwed up a lot, and then, you know, I'm owning up to that. But yeah, I want to own up to that. There's a lot. There's some that I regret more than others, but for the most part, nothing I can do about it now except move on and, you know, do better in the future. So that's the video. I don't really know how to end this. I might just end it while I'm talking.